Welcome to Mad's Tea Party, the channel run by a girl who does not drink tea. I'm Madison, and today I am back with another monthly book review video. I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I read in the month of January, and at the end of the video, I will crown Book of the Month. Now, in January, I read 5 books, off to a pretty good start. These are all books that I got in 2021, so I'm slowly working my way up my TBR list. So let's get straight into it. The first book that I read in January, I actually read most of it in December, and that was The Darkest Minds. I just finished it in January, and I don't consider a book read until I finish it. So yeah, I read The Darkest Minds. This one was a 4-star read for me, honestly starting out the year pretty strong. I really liked it. I had already seen the movie of it, so I kind of already knew what happened. But it's still a fun story. I really enjoyed it, and I got the second book, so that's exciting. I will say I did hear that the second book is not nearly as good as the first one, so I guess we'll find out. The book follows a girl named Ruby. She has these weird superpowers that come from being one of the only survivors of a strange disease that wiped out most of the world's children, and she's really powerful. And she's trying to figure out how to balance her powers and just kind of live a normal life, I guess. I will say the plot of this book doesn't really make much sense, and I can't really say too much about it without spoiling it. The characters are where this book's shown. It's very much a character-driven novel. If you like something like The Fifth Wave, this might be for you. It's in a very similar vibe to that. The second book that I read in January was Crown of Crowns. This I discovered after I started reading it. It is a self-published book. We love indie authors. I myself am an indie author. I have a whole video about my book that'll be coming out in June. So if you like fantasy romance, go ahead and click the link to my video up above, and I go a little bit more in depth about what you can expect from me. So yeah, I'm always down for a self-published book. And I feel like they're very hit or miss just because some of them aren't well edited, but this one you can tell that there was genuine passion behind it. And also a fun fact about this book, this is an advanced reader copy. I don't know how this ended up here. It was in my local bargain bookstore. This book is about a young noblewoman living in a fantasy sci-fi type world, and every generation, they choose someone to become the ruler of their entire planet. So there are multiple kingdoms, but there's one major king and queen over everyone. So obviously, she finds out that she's the chosen one. She's going to be the queen over everyone. And it's about that. The back is really misleading. The back is all about her meeting and falling in love with this poor boy. That happens before the book even starts. So I'm not really sure what that blurb is about, but yes, it's about a girl who gets chosen by the Crown of Crowns. But I really enjoyed it. I think the story was a little messy, it was a little disjointed, and I didn't really feel like the side characters really gave me all that much to work with, but the main character was okay. She had a pretty good arc. And honestly, the world was pretty interesting. I just would have liked it to be a bit more developed. This is the first book in a duology, I believe. And as you can see, this is pretty slim. It was only about 250 pages. So I would have liked to see a bit more from this. It just felt a little underdeveloped. But honestly, I think it had really good potential. So I gave this one 3 stars. Not bad. The third book that I read in January was The Rains. This was another 3-star read for me. This one toed the line between 3 and 4 stars. I did kind of enjoy it. It was my kind of annual horror novel. I usually get one of these about every year, and this was this year's. Came early on, but here it is. It's set in this small southern town, and basically one day everyone over the age of 18 just pretty much dies and turns into a mindless zombie thing, but it's not really an outbreak of any kind. It's more of a spore gets in the air. So it's a little bit different. It's kind of a twist on the zombie genre. So it's pretty interesting, but honestly, this was a little disturbing for a YA novel, I'm not gonna lie. I found this book at a middle school book fair several years ago. After I left middle school, I visited my middle school and they were having a book fair at the time. So I was like, let me go check it out. and I saw this book, if I was in middle school and I read this, I would be traumatized for life. But honestly, the characters in it weren't really that strong. They weren't really that memorable. And honestly, I will remember the plot of this a lot more than I will remember the actual characters. This one though, even though I would put it in the horror genre, it also has some of that like apocalyptic, like zombie fiction, alien fiction, like that kind of thing in it. But honestly, if I had to compare it to any book that I've ever read, it has Maze Runner vibes. I don't know why, it just does. If you like the Maze Runner, you might like this. The fourth book that I read in January was In the Time of Dragon Moon. This was a super fun read for me just because I almost never read high fantasy, but this one had like full-on talking dragons, it had fae, it had all that good stuff. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, check out In the Time of Dragon Moon. It's about an indigenous healer who gets taken to the palace on behalf of the queen, who can't conceive a child and wants her healing properties to help her conceive a child, and she has until the dragon moon to help the queen get pregnant. If you like that kind of thing, if this sounds good to you, definitely give it a read. I gave it 3 stars just because it's a very long book, it's very thick, and I felt like it kind of sagged in parts, like it didn't really keep my attention the entire time. But honestly, I enjoyed it. It was a pretty good read. And the last book that I read in January is The Valiant. This is also my book of the month, I'll go ahead and tell you now. So this one I gave 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. At first, I thought that it was gonna be a 5-star read. When I first picked up the book, it got me hooked within the first 50 pages. I was like, this is gonna be my first 5-star read of the year. And basically, it's about this Celtic princess who gets kidnapped and sold into slavery during the Roman Empire, and she becomes a gladiator. And that is a super cool concept for a historical fiction novel. So I was immediately invested, and I liked her backstory, I liked her spirit. But in the end, I just felt like as soon as she actually gets to Rome, it gets a little weird. A lot of the relationships with her fellow gladiators, I didn't really believe, especially some of the more minor characters. I didn't believe that they were like found family, if that makes sense. And also her love interest, as much as I like him, I wanted to see more of him. I just wanted to see more of their like banter, because what was there was good, but I just felt like I needed more to really make the sell for me. But honestly, that wasn't enough to take off a full star. What was enough to take off a full star though was the ending. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but the main character did something, honestly, in the last like 5 pages that made me so mad that I dropped it a full star, and I don't know if I will pick up the next book. I understand that this is scathing for a book that I made book of the month. I know it sounds like it should be The Darkest Minds, but The Darkest Minds just really didn't grab me like this one did. This one grabbed me, and that's rare. So I can't really punish it for the last 5 pages being bad. So yeah, 4 stars, and it's book of the month. I actually really liked this book. So if you like strong female heroines, you will probably like this book. Also, there's quite a few plot twists in this book that had me like gasping. So yes, definitely pick up The Valiant. It's really good. And that is going to do me for today. Thank you all so much for watching to this point. I will be back next month with my February reads, and I can't wait to see what's coming up next. If you want to see how I'm rating my books as I rate them, I have an Instagram account and a Twitter account. Those are linked down below. And also, if you want to keep up with everything that I'm posting about my book, and if you want to stay up to date on my debut novel that's releasing in June, Kingdom of the Sea, please visit my website down below and sign up for my newsletter. My newsletter is always going to get every information dropped first. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!